All right, I should be live right now. Hopefully, everything has gone to plan. Assuming it is, happy Friday, everyone. This is Dan. I hope you're all doing well. Um, I am here today to talk a little bit about mindfulness and a little bit about meditation thrown in there, too. I think it's a topic sometimes people get, a little, I don't know, they feel like they can't do it. But hopefully, by the end of this little talk today, you'll realize you can do it. Um, I think sometimes people just think too much into it, but it's a lot simpler than you think. So, I don't know if anyone's here yet, but I'm gonna assume everything's going fine. So I'm just gonna get on with it, and hopefully some people will stroll in. If not, you can always watch the video afterward. But I just want to start by defining what mindfulness is as far as like a dictionary definition goes. One definition says it's the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. And the second one is a little bit more specific, and it says a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment. Uh, like while calmly, what is it, acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. And it's used a lot in therapy, but people use it in their everyday lives just as much, and I do too. And it's very helpful. Um, a lot of times people think of mindfulness and meditation as being synonymous. Uh, they can be the same thing, but they don't have to be. There's a lot of the same aspects to both. Um, but as we'll get into a little bit more, you'll see that I guess meditation could be a specific kind of mindfulness. That might be one way to look at it. But um, what I'm going to do now is just give you a few examples of things you can do to incorporate mindfulness into your everyday life. And they're going to sound really simple. And by the end of it, you're probably going to be like, wow, that isn't that isn't too much to it. Yeah, I can definitely do that. So the first one is eating. Eating mindfully. What does that mean? Well, going back to the definition, when we talked about being one aware of one's surroundings and accepting their feelings and whatnot, I notice a lot of times when I eat, and I'm sure many other people, we're just in a hurry to get our meal down, and we just scarf that thing down. You don't even taste it sometimes. So if you're going to try to eat mindfully, you kind of want to eat slower. Be in the moment. You want to really experience what you're eating. When you take a bite, chew thoroughly and slowly. Notice the textures in the mouth. Notice the taste that you get from it, the sensations, the smells. Really just be in that moment and experience everything. Easier said than done on that one, but walking is another thing that you can do to be mindful. Um, we're going to be getting some nicer weather soon, thankfully. So hopefully that I can start doing some of this myself. But when you're out for a walk, really notice the sounds that you hear. Birds chirping. Feel the wind. Notice the soles of your feet hitting the ground. Any smells that you smell out there. Really, just take in everything from the senses. The next one is really an important one, especially when we get into meditation. But observing your breathing. Um, Sometimes we just, breathing is so automatic, and we just kind of forget sometimes that, we have a lot of control over how we breathe. And taking good deep breaths from your abdomen really is helpful. You can also, there's things called square breathing where you might count for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and then let it out for 4 seconds. Um, but for me, mostly it's just, focusing on the breathing. Try to, cut out any other thoughts and just focus on that breathing. Um, The next one I had was connect with your senses, which we've pretty much talked about through all these previous examples. I mean, that has been connecting with your senses, so I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. Um, Pause between actions. Don't be in a rush to get everything done. It's okay to give yourself a breather, especially with how crazy things are right now. Um, I find myself, I definitely need to just stop and breathe sometimes. Um, if I'm starting to feel a little too stressed out over something, put it away, walk away, and do something else for a little while. Um, Self care is very important. Um, Listen fully and actively. A lot of us out there will think that we're really good listeners, and for the most part, we are. But I think sometimes instead of actually listening, we're kind of hearing what the person's saying, but we're already thinking about what we want to say next and waiting for our turn to speak. So instead of doing that, just really just be in that moment and listen fully to what the other person is saying. And the final one I had on the little list I put together was meditate. Meditation's been a huge part of my life over the last couple of years. And as I think I mentioned earlier, that meditation and mindfulness are related. They don't have to be the same thing, but they can be the same thing. Um, I kind of look at it as meditation being a form of mindfulness or vice versa. Um, but yeah, I think the meditation kind of scares people off a little bit more than the mindfulness term does. Um, I don't know how many times I've heard somebody say, "Oh, I can't meditate. There's no way I can just not think about anything." And then I usually respond with, "Well, of course you can't just think about nothing. Nobody can do that. Maybe some Buddhist monks out, on the mountain somewhere, but definitely not me." The key to it, though, is when you're trying to meditate. Generally, it's focusing on your breathing while you're doing that. It's okay to think about other things. We have thoughts racing through our heads all the time. What the key is to not judge yourself on that. Just accept that you're having these thoughts and then just refocus that back on your breathing. So to give you an example for myself, there's been times where I'm really trying to just focus on my breathing and meditate, but then I'm thinking, oh, this bill's got to be paid and I need to do that. And it's easy to get frustrated with yourself and be like, oh, I can't do this. But the key is to just accept that you have that thought, let the thought go, and then just bring it right back to you're focusing on breathing. Um, it could be helpful to use a mindful word or a mantra. Mantras are big when you talk about things like transcendental meditation. Um, it could be just a simple word that you just focus on, maybe repeating in your head. It could be a phrase, maybe affirmations. I found affirmations to be very helpful. Um, it could be something as simple as just, saying to yourself, I am a good person. I am a caring person. I am a loving person. You really can just tailor it to how you want to do it. That's what the great thing about it is. There really is no wrong way to do it, although a lot of people think that way. Um, Modify it to what you're comfortable with. Um, I kind of have a really interesting meditation routine that I go through, and I do this like every night. And it involves a lot of visualization. Um, Usually at night and sometimes early in the morning, I will, as I'm laying down, I kind of envision myself on a swing set. And um, specifically, the swing set at my grandparents' house when I was growing up. It was one of those old swing sets, really tall. I remember the paint was peeling off of it. It had one of those wooden seats that you'd get splinters in sometimes, and those metal like chain links. And I would just focus and just picture myself swinging on that swing set, going back and forth, back and forth. Very relaxing for me. And I won't get too much into this part, but um, I've actually been able to get myself into states of consciousness where I've had out of body experiences from doing that, which is very strange but fascinating all the same. Um, but that's a whole other discussion right there. But I found that that visualization of moving back and forth while just focusing on breathing has been very helpful. I can say without a doubt that in the couple of years I've been doing that, my life has changed and gotten better by exponential amounts. So I give a lot to that. Um, but yeah, so you can kind of see where the combination or the relation between mindfulness and meditation is. Um, it's not as scary as it sounds. I think kind of just pointing out it's not really about not thinking about anything at all. That's not what it's about. And I think trying to get that idea of it out of your head kind of makes it less scary. Um, but I owe a lot to being mindful and doing meditation on a daily basis. So uh, yeah, daily basis. Can't talk today. Um, but yeah, so that's just a little blurb about it. If anyone is interested in any specific things, please feel free to contact me. I'm also willing to maybe do a guided meditation for people if they want to get together, and I can lead a guided meditation. That's something I really didn't get into right now, but that's a big thing for me is guided meditations. I frequently will put in the headset and look up on YouTube and find a guided meditation and just kind of listen to it as I'm falling asleep. And uh, it really helps with sleeping issues if you have any sleep problems. Um, and just overall, I'm a happier person from incorporating these things in my life. So I really recommend it. Um, yeah, I mean that's pretty much the basics of it. As I said, if anyone wants more information or is interested in doing like a group guided meditation, leave something in the comments. And I hope you're all doing well. Um, I know as soon as I get off, I'm going to be like, oh, I wanted to talk about that and didn't think about it. So if you have any questions, leave them, thoughts, anything. Um, I'm hoping to do some more little things like this with different topics. So if anyone has any suggestions, please throw them out there. Other than that, I hope you're all doing great. Um, it's been a tough time for all of us, and even though I think we're